Welcome to The Explainer. In just the last 24 hours, the Middle East has been pushed right to the edge of an all-out war. A joint U.S.-Israeli strike has killed Iran's most powerful figure, and that has triggered a wave of retaliation that really threatens to engulf the entire region. So let's break down how we got here and what on earth could happen next.
Okay, so first things first. The political landscape of the Middle East has been, well, violently reshaped. The news is confirmed. Iran's supreme leader, a man who's been at the center of regional power for decades, is dead.
And the confirmation? It didn't come through the usual diplomatic channels. Not at all. Instead, U.S. President Donald Trump made this pretty stunning announcement on social media, claiming success in a joint operation to, as he put it, eliminate Iran's most powerful figure.
To really understand the shockwaves this is sending, you have to grasp the role of the supreme leader. Look, this isn't just a political president or some religious figurehead. This position, it combines ultimate military, political, and spiritual authority. The final word on absolutely everything, from nuclear policy to military action, rested with this one man.
And that man, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, he's been in power since 1989. We're talking over 3 decades. His rule has defined Iran's relationship with the world, its ambitions in the region, and of course, its many confrontations with the West, right up until this decisive strike.
So how did this all happen? I mean, this wasn't just a single incident. This was a massive, coordinated military operation. Let's really break down the chain of events that led us to this moment.
It all started with these reports of huge explosions rocking cities all across Iran. And then, a short time later, President Trump himself described what was happening as ongoing major combat operations. That was the signal, really, that this was a full-scale, premeditated attack by the United States and its key ally, Israel.
And the scale of that initial attack, it was just immense. I mean, strikes hit multiple strategic cities, including the capital, Tehran. This really suggests the targets weren't just isolated military facilities, but the very heart of the Iranian regime's power structure. Both nations, as you'd expect, were quick to give their official reasoning. The White House, they focused on neutralizing Iran's nuclear and missile capabilities, which they claimed posed a direct threat. Israel, for its part, framed the whole thing in defensive terms, calling it a necessary, preemptive move to stop future aggression. But, this was never going to be a one-sided affair. Iran's response was swift, it was forceful, and it very quickly turned what was a targeted strike into a regional firestorm.
So the big question was, what would Iran do? Well, the world did not have to wait long for an answer. Iran responded with a massive barrage of missiles and drones launched at targets right across the Middle East.
Iran's strategy here was pretty clear. They didn't just strike back at Israel. No, they targeted U.S. military assets and allies all across the Gulf. We're talking Bahrain, the UAE, Qatar, and Kuwait. The message was unmistakable. An attack on Iran is an attack on American interests across the entire region.
This tit-for-tat escalation, it's come at a terrifying human cost. Within just hours, the conflict claimed lives across multiple countries, putting civilians and military personnel from all over the world directly in harm's way.
The human costs became apparent fast. The U.S. military confirmed 3 American service members were killed in Iran's retaliatory strikes.
At the same time, Iranian officials reported a devastating toll from that initial assault, claiming a strike on a school in Tehran killed 153 people, and that included children.
And in Israel, emergency services reported that 9 people were killed after a missile strike in the city of Beit Shemesh. So, in just a matter of hours, this conflict had already claimed lives across 3 different nations.
And the danger is just spreading. The UK's defense secretary reported that British military personnel in Bahrain narrowly avoided a missile impact, while other missiles were apparently fired in the direction of Cyprus. This just shows how quickly this conflict is pulling in other international players.
So with Iran's leader dead, with this huge power vacuum in Tehran, and with missiles literally flying through the air, the entire world is now asking one question: what happens next?
I think the key takeaway here is this: the targeted killing hasn't ended a threat. Instead, it has created an incredibly dangerous power vacuum. The region is now on its highest alert in decades. This sequence of attacks and retaliations, it's setting the stage for a much larger and potentially uncontrollable war. The death of one man has brought millions to the brink of absolute chaos. What was intended as this decisive blow has instead become the first shot in a conflict with no clear end in sight.
The question really is no longer if this will escalate, but how far it's all going to go.